Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sylvia McAllister Castillo, Assistant Dean for the MBA for Executives here at the Yale School of Management.
And I'm Maria Stutzmany Marquez, and I serve as the Associate Director of Admissions.
And we are joining you live from Evans Hall. Thank you to all of you who submitted a question. And I just wanted to remind you that you can feel free to submit another question while we're here live during the webinar. Welcome to all of you. For those of you who are on the East Coast, thank you for sacrificing your lunch break and joining us for this. We're going to spend about 45 minutes together. I'm going to run through a very quick introduction of the Yale School of Management, the MBA for Executives program, and then we're going to talk about a lot of the frequently asked questions that I get, that Maria gets on the road, that you've already submitted. So hopefully we will get to answer some of your burning desires. Here at the Yale School of Management, our mission is to educate leaders for business and society. This is a mission that we take extraordinarily seriously and that permeates every single course, workshop, elective that you will take here on our campus. We are the fastest growing professional school here at Yale University, and we take this relationship with Yale University to the extreme. We try to work very closely with the School of Medicine, with the School of Forestry, with the School of Public Health, with the School of Law, and we've even done a lot of collaborations with the School of Drama, which we're really pleased about. Yale has a long-standing tradition of educating leaders for business and society. We have quite a few Supreme Court judges, 5 presidents are Yale alumni, and one fun fact is that there were 4 Yale alumni who signed the original copy of the Declaration of Independence. So that's a fun fact for you all.
And which I think was on display at the Beinecke recently,
yes,
right?
So the first printed copies are on display at our Rare Books Museum, which is open to the public. So if you're here in New Haven, do stop by. So while Yale has this long storied tradition of training and developing leaders, the Yale School of Management is quite new and innovative, and I think this is something that not everyone anticipates when they come to the Yale campus, as they see how beautiful and traditional a lot of the school is, while the Yale School of Management is really quite open, quite transparent, and this is really reflective of a lot of the things that we do here in educating business leaders. We have a very innovative curriculum, we have a really unique pedagogy, and a really hands-on approach to teaching our students.
So here we start, the frequently asked questions. So I'm going to pose some questions to Sylvia, and she'll in turn ask some of me. So what is the Yale MBA for Executives?
I'm glad you asked.
All right.
So the Yale MBA for Executives is an MBA, and somebody I think asked, is it the same degree as the MBA students receive in the full-time program? And yes, our students receive a diploma at the end of the 22 months that says Master's in Business Administration. They're the same faculty that teach in the full-time program. It's the same degree. You're in the same building. So all of our students are educated here at Evans Hall. We have the same core curriculum as the full-time students, the same number of credits as the full-time students. So this is in no way a watered-down version of the full-time program. There's the same academic rigor and the same famous Yale network. So when students graduate from the School of Management, not only are they alumni of the school, but they're also joining the Yale University network, which is probably one of the most comprehensive. You will find leaders in almost every city in the globe, and that's not an exaggeration. I've been overwhelmed by the generosity of the alumni network and their receptiveness to my inquiries and demands for favors and demands on their time. So I think that's something that it's important to highlight.
Absolutely.
So this is what the program looks like. It's a 22-month program, so just shy of 2 years. The first year really comprises of the integrated core curriculum. In the second year, students move on to an advanced management set of courses. Increasingly, there's opportunities to tailor that learning, but in general, students move through that together. There's an area of focus, and those are the courses that we'll take a deeper dive into, since a lot of students are quite interested to learn more about the areas of focus. We have a leadership development curriculum that spans the 2 years, and that's a combination of required courses, elective courses, and a lot of co-curricular activities, and a colloquium that goes along with the area of focus. So, Maria, who is the Yale MBA for Executives for?
Excellent. So this program is really designed for people who have more years of experience than would be interested in the full-time program. So our minimum requirement is a full 5 years of postgraduate professional experience. That's really important as we seek leaders within different sectors of industry to really ensure that our class is well represented across many years of experience and different leadership responsibilities. And when we're thinking about the career evolution, we're really looking for candidates who have had a steep trajectory. So they may have started off in an individual contributor role, but now they're really seeking more opportunities for leadership, or they're already well positioned really at the top of their organization or within their field. So we're really seeking a broad, diverse group of people, and so we're looking across all different industries, experiences, sectors, I think backgrounds, educational backgrounds as well. And then also, these are individuals who really are pushing the envelope. They have a mindset and passion to really have impact within whether it's within their communities or their organizations, and even more broadly across the globe if they are well positioned to do that. So they're seeking that acceleration and hoping to build that business foundation that they may not have received through their, PhD in engineering or their MD, and now that they're practicing surgeons. So they're really seeking that business acumen foundation.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. And so Sylvia, tell us more about the areas of focus.
Yeah, absolutely. We have 3 areas of focus, the first of which is asset management. And this is an elective course that we've taught in the past with Tim Geithner there as a lecturer. And this was a course on financial stability and the global financial crisis. So we were lucky enough to have Tim Geithner, who hangs out here quite a bit. I see him in our cafeteria. And he's a very friendly guy. So. Our faculty director is Will Getzman, who is a Yale man through and through. I think he did his undergrad, MBA, and PhD all here at Yale. And he has put together an asset management curriculum that is both broad in many respects, but sort of takes a deeper dive into investment management, portfolio management, alternatives. Will actually teaches the alternatives class, so he is very much involved with the students and with students' career needs. He's also run a hedge fund on the side, so he has a lot of experience in industry and a lot of contacts in industry. And here are some of our alumni and students. We have, as I said, a terrific group of alumni. One person that's remarkably involved and just won an award for her involvement in the alumni community is Jamila Abston. When she started the program, she was a regulator with the SEC, and now she's a partner for wealth and asset management at Ernst & Young.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And Chris Roberstad is actually one of our furthest travelers. He comes from Oslo in Norway, and he has a more traditional role in portfolio management. And Daniel, who's going to be starting his second year, I guess in 2 weeks, is a senior private sector specialist for the IFC, which is a division at the World Bank that really focuses on public-private partnerships. So you can see that we're looking for students who have a background in asset management, but who have very different paths and have taken different paths to get to where they are and can really contribute and add a new perspective to the asset management curriculum. So this is one of my favorite annual events. Yale actually has the largest student-run healthcare conference in the world. And so we get phenomenal alumni and speakers who come for this. People travel from overseas to participate, and our MBA students are no exception. So it almost ends up being a mini reunion for us. And I know that you hung out and got to meet with a lot of them this year.
So our faculty director is Professor Howie Foreman. He's probably one of the busiest people I know because he's a practicing radiologist. He's the director of the MD MBA program, the MPH MBA program, and our faculty director. He is prolific on social media. So actually a lot of students come to us because they hear about the program from Howie. They follow him on Twitter at the Howie. And he does a terrific job of curating this healthcare curriculum. One of the new courses that we're plugging this year is the population health course, which really ties into our mission of educating leaders for business and society. And this really came about from a lot of the feedback from our alumni and from our students who are really interested in learning more about healthcare outcomes and disparity, and really looking and targeting this sector. So,
and I just wanted to add, if you are coming from the area of focus or industry of healthcare, at some point in August, we're going to do a webinar with Howie, and so I think that might be something that you'd want to put on your agenda. Just look on our website; it'll be up within the next week.
Perfect. Yes. So here are some of our alumni and current students. So Sandra Saldana has a really interesting background. She has a PhD in biology, I believe, and when she came to the program, she decided that she wanted to try her hand at entrepreneurship. She actually won a very competitive fellowship here at the School of Management, is now one of our entrepreneurship fellows. She's developing technology to help detect strokes very, very early on in patients. Hopefully save lives, which is really incredible.
Yeah. And Jen White is traveling to us from the Bay Area. She works for a company that really is set up to do great work around transportation for healthcare delivery, and that she commutes bi-coastal, so she works in Boston part-time and also is in the Bay Area, so it's always fun to see what she's up to, and managing like a family and all of these other responsibilities
she's a superwoman, absolutely. And lastly, we have quite a few clinicians in the class, and Charles Powell is a great example of one of them. He is a pulmonologist by training, and he is also the CEO of Mount Sinai's National Jewish Health Respiratory Institute in New York City. So he oversees a massive team and has overseen the integration of this institute, but he also has that clinician experience that really rounds out the healthcare sector and that area of focus. So one of the most unique buildings on campus is actually Kroon Hall. I believe it's one of the most sustainable buildings in the world. It surpasses LEED Platinum status, and you can see that it is quite unusual in its design, and I definitely encourage anyone, if you can, definitely stop by and see this building. And the reason why we use this photo is that it is the home to Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies. We have quite a few professors who teach in the School of Forestry who are part of our sustainability curriculum, which is right here. And so our faculty director is Todd Court. He is heavily involved with CBAE, which is Center for the Business and the Environment at Yale. And that is a center that brings together the School of Management and the School of Forestry together. And we have quite a few amazing alums who are doing really different things. So Elizabeth Hang, she graduated in 2017, and this is actually out of date already. So she was the Chief of Protocol and Outreach for the House of Representatives, but now she's just announced that she's running for Congress in her home state of California.
Is that remarkable? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and Timothy Memme is somebody who works in consumer goods. He does the brand and strategy for Remy Cointreau, and clearly there's major bylines there to sustainable efforts.
Absolutely. And Mark Gerard is commuting all the way from Montreal, Canada, and he works in stevedoring logistics, especially in the very north of Canada. And there are some really interesting implications around environmental regulations in Canada that aren't necessarily so here in the US. So he's really able to bring a lot of that to life. So that's really great.
So are there requirements for each of the areas of focus, Sylvia?
Yes, so there's a sort of stereotype for each one. So people think healthcare and they think it's just for clinicians, but it's not so. So we have, as I've sort of demonstrated through our alumni and our students, we have a lot of people who come from very different areas of healthcare. So we're looking for people who work in biotech, in IT, specifically in healthcare operations. We're looking for, absolutely, clinicians, PAs, nurses, doctors, everybody who has a role in healthcare, insurance companies, pharma. We have a lot of students who come from pharma. So we want this to be a really fascinating conversation every time these students come together. And so we need all the perspectives to sort of round that out. For asset management, we're also looking for people with different perspectives. People in the class, everybody has either experience specifically in the management of assets, or works for a company that services the asset management industry. So we've had people from fintech, for example, a lot of people who are working in IT, that the providing of IT services for investment banks, and
risk and compliance.
Risk and compliance. We've had regulators. It's always great to have a regulator in your study group. So we're looking for a diverse set of people who have a demonstrated track record of success in the industry. And then finally, for sustainability, they're not all tree huggers. They're not all folks that are working in NGOs and working towards sustainable solutions. We have a lot of people who are working in fast-moving consumer goods, people who are working in consulting. And in general, what we want to see is that people have a passion for sustainability, a sustained passion for sustainability, and the ability to go out there and make change.
Absolutely.
So here we don't always have people who necessarily have experience working in sustainability, but people who are passionate about bringing this back to their organizations and helping us not only spread this gospel that you can do good and do good for the planet.
Yeah. So we have a lot of places, people are coming from like the energy sector, and there's a lot of change happening there. So I think that's one area where people come through.
Yeah, so we have a lot of people coming from energy, from chemicals, from agribusiness. So we're excited to every year seeing more and more applications of this. Something that we've seen a lot is ESG investing, sustainable finance. How do I get into renewables? So every year we're always excited to meet new people who are at the very cutting edge of this, and we've put together a curriculum that will help them achieve their goals. So where does the MBA for executives take place, Maria?
Right here. Our program is located in almost the heart of New Haven. We're just a few blocks away from Yale College campus. On Whitney Ave, and we are well positioned. Evans Hall is well positioned right between Boston and New York, with some really great options for traveling from DC and further south. We also have a ton of students who are coming from all over the country. So people often ask, and I think this is one of the questions, like, how do we get to New Haven? What's the easiest way, and what are the best logistics to do so? And so our commuters from Boston and New York, sometimes they team up and they'll drive together, or they'll take the MTA from New York. People traveling in from DC often will fly into Bradley, team up with some other folks and take an Uber down to campus. Maybe they'll take the train back. And for those flying from internationally or from the West Coast or Texas, they usually just fly into Bradley, JFK, LaGuardia, Newark. And we also have Tweed Airport here, which if you travel through American, you might be able to catch a flight. But yeah, there's lots of options to getting here.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite stories is the commuting club from DC. So they sit on the Amtrak, and the first person in DC sort of gets the cafe car, reserves a table, and as people get in on the train, as it stops in Wilmington, Delaware, Philadelphia, New York, and sort of you get this collection of Yale SOM students who are able to kind of connect, get ready for the weekend, finish their homework. And so there are definitely a lot of options, and we're happy to connect you with current students who are in the midst of these commutes, and they can tell you more firsthand what it's like. So I'm also going to ask you, what is New Haven like? People talk a lot about New Haven, and what can I expect?
Well, there's so much to offer here. It's really a wonderfully diverse place. I think that Yale brings in a lot of students and leaders and minds from all over the world. So it's really wonderful in that way to make those connections. But the community itself is really integrated, which I think is quite wonderful. They have this Arts and Ideas Festival at the end of every spring leading into summer, and they bring in musicians and artists from all over the world. We have Yale Repertory Theater, which as staff we get to take advantage of some of the plays at discount. But and then New Haven's well known for its pizza, amongst other things.
Of course.
So there's just so much happening in this community, and it is really quite nice.
So I always ask people this when we do webinars. What's your favorite pizzeria?
I know, and I feel like I've answered this before, but it's a growing list. So my favorite has been Pepe's, but I'm also really into Delegna Pizza, which is right down the street from me. So
very nice.
Yeah, what
so it's
about
very
you?
Convenient. I like some of the modern places, but I'm going to go with Modern Pizza, which despite the name, it was founded in the 1930s, and I still think it's a pretty awesome slice of pizza. Something else that I think is really fun to do at Yale is really take advantage of the sports teams. We have a traditional rivalry with Harvard, and probably one of the most fun events is the Harvard-Yale game that happens every year. This fall, it's going to happen at Fenway Park. Yeah, so we already have alumni who've booked a bunch of tickets. And this is our beautiful little mascot, Handsome Dan, and he makes an appearance at most of the sporting events that happen here at Yale. So if you're into sports, this is a haven for you. We have hockey games that our students arrange. Some of them go rowing on the river. I mean, it's amazing.
The golf course.
The tennis, yeah. So Maria, when does the MBA for Executives take place?
All right. So as you heard, this is a 22-month program. It takes place starting on Friday. We start with orientation with a 2-week in residence through July. And then beginning mid-August, we start with our every other Friday, Saturday schedule, and that goes all the way through May. At the end of May, there's a little bit of a break to catch up on finals and turn in those last assignments. And then our students take this Global Network Week, which is required. And it's really within the Global Network, which is an expansive group of 30 top business schools throughout the world. Our students get to choose from amongst, I think, 10 or 11 of those schools who also have other MBA programs. Yeah, it's really, Bocconi is the latest.
So the last two are Hitatsubashi in Tokyo and Seoul National University in Korea.
Oh, wow. And for sure, some of our students went to Tokyo and they studied, I think it was like the aging population. So many of our healthcare students went there. And then in July, we kick off with another week in residence where they'll finish up their core curriculum with the executive. And then again, starting mid-August, we do the every other Friday schedule until about mid-May when we have graduation. And that's a wonderful week to be on campus, all across campus.
Yeah, no, it's 22 months, and it's probably simultaneously the longest 22 months of everyone's lives, but also the 22 months that fly by the quickest.
Right. Oh, and so one question that we got was, what does a class weekend look like? So typically we start at about 9 a.m. on Fridays. You will have 4 classes throughout the weekend. We usually provide, students will have lunch at Charlie's Place, which is the cafeteria downstairs. There may be a colloquium speaker for each of the different focus areas, or one that will speak to the entire class. And then we have a dynamic academic program team that put together so many wonderful cross-campus events. As one of our goals across Yale is to really utilize all of the resources and make sure that our students have access beyond just the School of Management. So I think there's one, we're doing some tours to the Beinecke Library, which I mentioned earlier. We'll go to the Peabody Museum,
the Planetarium, the Botanical Gardens.
Yeah. So there's just so much. So those are all well planned, and you can decide to opt into those if you'd like. And then on Saturday, we start a bit earlier. We know that people who are traveling far want to maybe catch a flight that evening. So we'll start at 8, and then we will end with an optional workshop. This is largely in combination with our leadership development. And these might be workshops on emotional intelligence, or working with the School of Drama for executive voice and presence. And so we just have a number of different options for students to pick and choose from.
Yeah, no, these are phenomenal opportunities to meet with professors from across campus and also sort of the wider Yale community.
Ooh, so I'm busy. I have a lot of things going on, a lot of commitments. Do I have to attend every single class?
Yes.
Okay.
So the expectation is that candidates will be attending every single class. However, we do know that students are, you're all successful professionals. A lot of people are managing big teams. A lot of people have families, and a lot of students actually have young children. So what we have to offer to inject a little bit of flexibility into the curriculum is the extended classroom. So this is a platform not unlike a webinar. The main difference is that it's a two-way link so that students can participate. So your photo is beamed into the back of the classroom. The professor can clearly see you and will call on you. So it's not sort of, just watching from afar. The expectation is that you will participate in the class as if you were sort of actually sitting there. So a lot of students have found this remarkably convenient if they have, a board meeting at work that they need to prepare for. I know somebody showed up to their final class wearing a tuxedo, and when class ended, he just kind of said, "Okay, I'm off to a wedding now." So it really enables you to have a little bit more control of your social life, your professional life, and your family life. It is limited, so students cannot expect to do the program virtually. So students can take advantage of this once a month.
And on non-consecutive weekends.
That's correct. So I already have an MBA. Can I still apply to this amazing program?
Sorry, Sylvia. No. There's, we talked about the curriculum earlier, and so 75% of it is general management, along with this 25% that is a focus area. And so if you have already taken a lot of the courses that are required with an MBA, it would be quite repetitive. And so while our curriculum is distinct, there are some, similarities, and we really just want we want this program to have a strong impact, and if you already have an MBA, it may not do that. And another thing to mention there is that this is a program that is not transactional. So we very much expect that people are going to engage fully in the curriculum, and if you've already done something and you're past accounting, past the basics of economics, it could be a little bit harder to fully engage in that way.
Great.
So Sylvia, how much does this cost, and what's included in the cost?
Yes, so this is a question that comes on, early on in our discussions, because it is not an undertaking. That you shouldn't take this lightly. For the class of 2020, so the students who were starting on Friday, the tuition for the full 2 years was $179,800. For the class of 2021, we don't have an exact figure, but you can expect it will be a little bit higher than this. What's included? So all students for their first semester are required to stay at the Omni. This figure covers the stay at the Omni on Friday nights for the full 22 months. It also covers your hotel room while you're doing your 2-week in residence. You're in residence your second year, and your accommodation while you're doing your global immersion, your global network week abroad. It covers most meals. It covers, in fact, 2 breakfasts. So you can have breakfast at the hotel, and if you don't like the hotel breakfast, you can come have breakfast with us. Some students, get up really early in the morning to go for a jog or go for a game of tennis in the morning, and so they have a hotel breakfast at 6 a.m. And sometimes they're ready for a second one when they roll in at 9 a.m. It includes all your books, and even though this is a picture of physical books, we actually do everything electronically with an eye towards sustainability, but also convenience. We do electronic textbooks. If that's not your thing, that's fine. You can opt out. We refund your money, and you can buy hard books to lug around. Because we give everybody electronic books, we also give people a device to read them on. So everybody gets, this year it's a Microsoft Surface Pro. It's also important to have a Windows environment because a lot of the softwares that our professors use only run on Windows. So I'm sorry, Mac users. As you can see, I am one too. But you will have to learn to use Windows for this program. So some of you may be thinking, well, I think I meet the requirements. What kind of candidates are you excited to recruit, Maria?
Yeah. So I'm I'm very excited about this topic, so if I get a little effusive here, let me know. So we're really seeking students who are mission-driven. They know that through this program, they will have access to have a broader impact on their own organizations, their communities, the larger global reach. But really, they're seeking that understanding or that knowledge that will help them to kind of drive their passion and drive their mission. We also seek students who have alignment with the focus areas. So we look at, again, across all industries. We look for people who are well positioned, and we're also seeking a diverse range of thought and perspectives coming in. Again, we are looking for people who have some significant and meaningful leadership. They've had some responsibilities, whether it's managing large teams or large projects, large sums of money. It's just, we really want to make sure that that level of, I guess, those strengths are well within their profile at this point. And I think the last thing that I'd really like to touch on is preparedness. So we really are seeking candidates who have history of academic performance and who are ready to really dive into this curriculum, because it's not easy, but it's also so well worth it. And if you're prepared and ready to go and have that mental focus, you'll be able to maximize your experience here.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, we will be asking for proof of your academic preparedness. So, there are a lot of people who have gone on to have amazing careers, but we will be asking for, very tangible outputs that demonstrate that you are able to you tackle the rigors of this curriculum, whether that's your GPA in the different programs that you've accomplished, a test score. So somebody is even further convinced, yes, I tick all those boxes. When can I come visit?
Excellent, anytime. Please come visit. So we have a number of options for you. So every month we host something called an information session, which hosts a small presentation, and you'll get to have lunch with our students and sit in on a class. I think that's probably one of the best ways to get a very clear sense on how our program resonates for you, and how well aligned you feel. And our students are so candid and open and willing to ask questions at any point, even outside of the lunch period, so happy to connect there. And then in New Haven, we host one-to-ones every Wednesday in the afternoon. So if you're, within a commuting distance and you'd like to sit with me or one of my colleagues, happy to meet with you then. And then also we will have class visits at any time that we have a class weekend. So if you can't make it on one of our information Saturdays, just reach out to us through our emba.admissions@yale.edu, and we'll find a class for you to sit in on. So
great. Come visit us.
Yes, come visit.
So just a reminder that you can ask your questions via chat. We've had a few come through, but keep them coming. All right, so I'd like to get started.
Okay.
What do I need to do? What's required?
Right. So we have a list of things that we won't touch on completely. So just to give you a high-level overview, our application will be open at some point in August. At that point, you'll see all of the requirements, but ultimately it's, resume. We want to see samples of your writing and how you're thinking about what this means for you. We'll ask for letters of recommendations, test scores that Sylvia mentioned. We'd like to see official transcripts for the application process. You can upload unofficial transcripts. One important piece is the employer approval form. So we hope that you're having conversations with your employer prior to completing the application so that you have the approval for the time off. And then within the application, there's a scholarship, and we have a couple of additional pieces that we can speak more into as we go forward.
Great. So I get this question a lot.
Yeah.
Can I get a test waiver?
No, and we have three options for you. So if you'd like, you can do the GMAT, you can take the GRE, or the executive assessment. And I think that given those options, you can figure out which is going to be the best for not only your schedule in terms of time, but also the type of test taker that you might be. So Sylvia and I, last July, right around this time, we took the executive assessment, which is really new for our program, and can offer some insights. And I'd ask you, like, what did you think about the test? How did you study?
I mean, I use not to plug GMAC,
Right.
but I use the official test prep materials, and I found them more than adequate. I probably spent a good month studying for it and was pleased with my results. I think that the recommendations or the rule of thumb is studying between sort of like around 20 hours. I studied more because I thought it would be embarrassing if the assistant dean of the program did badly. So we wrote a blog post about our experience, so you can check that out. I outlined some of the study tips, but you can reach out to us, and I'm happy to sort of give anybody any advice or any hand-holding if you want it.
So I didn't ask you this.
Yeah.
So tell me about the essays. Do you actually read them?
Yeah, so a lot of people just kind of assume with the volume of applications that we get, we probably don't have time to read all the essays. We do, and not only that, sorry, I'm gonna go back. In our committee, your essays will be read by 3 different people. So, that is something that you should probably start thinking about, asking yourself these questions. Why am I interested in doing a program? Why am I interested in doing a program right now? And why am I interested in doing this specific program? So I would definitely recommend some sort of deep thinking about those questions and really trying to come across as authentic as possible. And no typos. So some people have come to me and said, I don't have the best undergraduate transcript. I was an immature 18-year-old. What can I do?
We do get this question a lot, and I think part of what you can do is provide us with an optional essay. And if you feel any bit slightly nervous about your GPA, set up a call. We can have a conversation about the curriculum and kind of how you might best position this essay. But ultimately, just clarify what was going on for you. And in the optional essay, you can also write about any other significant information that you feel has not been discussed throughout the rest of the application. So whether this is a personal history or something that you would just rather keep separate from the essays, we're happy to read that there. I wonder what else would go there. In the additional information section, we've had students who have been moving from one position to the next in terms of their career, and so they've had a slight shift in management. So the person who's currently managing them doesn't know their work performance or history fully just yet. So they might write an optional essay just kind of explaining why they chose their recommenders.
Great. So do you offer scholarships or financial aid?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have limited and partial funding for the scholarship. All you have to do is within the application, there's a box that you tick, you fill out a short essay, and we really look at financial need, unique perspective, and merit as we're reviewing through the scholarship committee. But there are funds. If you're going to apply for the scholarship, you would have also had to apply for the free application for federal student aid. That really helps our financial aid office determine your need, which is, again, the first piece of that puzzle for us on the scholarship committee.
And also is a component of applying for loans.
Absolutely. So yeah, there are loans. Students kind of do a mix and match with their financial aid. So some might have some sponsorship from their work. They might use some tuition reimbursement or tuition benefits. They also will have potentially a federal student loan, and then we have private lenders. So it does really become kind of a piecemeal put together for the financial aid.
So does everyone who apply get an on-campus interview?
No, actually. So this is by invitation only. All of our interviews take place on campus, and it is required for a part of the admissions process. So we want to meet with you, and all of these interviews are conducted by our administration, our staff, and also by our alumni. So we have amazing alumni who really want to continue the legacy of the program and its strengths, and so they volunteer their time to meet with candidates.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So somebody who just found out about this program, what what should their next steps be?
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for being here today, because this is really, if this is the first thing that you've done, well done. And really the next step to have further conversation about your profile or your candidacy would be to fill out the pre-assessment request. This goes to our team, and then somebody from our team will review your resume and send you some feedback. And that really does kick off the application and the admissions process from there.
So who can assist me throughout this whole process?
Yeah. So we have a wonderful team of people in our program. So, feel free to reach out to any of us. The easiest way to get a hold of us is through the emba.admissions@yale.edu. And then we can really kind of figure out who would be the best person to connect you with.
Great. So that's it for the questions that we had prepared. We already have quite a few questions here, so I'm hoping we can get through. But somebody's asking, is there an average or preferred GMAT-GRE executive assessment score Yale SOM looks for in an MBA candidate?
So right now we have just compiled our first year using the EA. So probably in the next few years we'll have more data on the rigor of the program and how well students do in our program alongside the EA. This past year we used the 50th percentile as the marker for that. So if you're somebody if you're seeking a set point, think over the 50th percentile. I think a lot of people, when they hear 50th percentile, they're like, wow, that seems kind of low. But the exam itself is meant to be binary in nature. So it's either you can handle the rigor of the program or you might need some extra support.
And I think also, if you're somebody who doesn't have the best undergraduate transcript, this is a way to make up for that.
Absolutely.
And an amazing GMAT, GRE, or executive assessment score would be another indicator for us that you're able to handle the rigors of the program. So rather than looking at testing as a hurdle, I would really encourage you to think of it as another opportunity to shine.
Absolutely.
This is something that you have control over. Somebody's asking, how much time do students typically spend on classroom outside of class? So that's a great question, and I'm afraid that I'm going to answer it with, it depends. A lot of students spend significantly more time the first semester as they're learning how to work in teams. Somebody has asked a little bit about, the breakdown about teams and individual work. So some classes will very heavily depend on group work, and that can be tough to sort of learn how to work with a set of strangers. As students move through the program, they typically get into the swing of things. They don't have to spend as much time. When you get your brain kind of back in that mindset, you start learning how to fit everything in your schedule. It feels like a lot less time. I think a good rule of thumb is probably 20 hours a week, though. And if you are smart about the way you commute, a lot of those 20 hours can be spent on the Amtrak or on a plane. So, for sure, I wouldn't sort of blow it off, because it is a lot of work, but it does get easier as you move through the program.
The other thing about Yale SOM is that we have a promise to put people in groups and learning teams. And so I think part of that is really understanding how to collaborate. And if there are times when somebody has maybe, client meetings and maybe their workload is a little bit further down the road than somebody else's, they kind of mix and match and really work together so that the whole team can be successful.
Absolutely. So somebody's asking about the Yale employee discount. Hey, thank you, Yale employee. And yes, Yale employees do get a discount of 25%. And we're happy to liaise with you further about any more granular details about that. Somebody's asking about entrepreneurs, and are they encouraged to apply to the MBA program?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Yale has really done all across Yale. There's so many opportunities for entrepreneurs, and so we like to see those folks in our class. I think they add a really dynamic perspective. We recently were well funded through the Sci Center for Innovative Thinking, which offers a ton of like accelerators, incubators, mentorship coaching for entrepreneurs. And then even here at Yale SOM, we have 2 faculty on staff, Jen McFadden and Kyle Jensen, who work with social enterprise and entrepreneurs there. And then, of course, you heard Sylvia talk about CBA, which is the Center for Business and the Environment at Yale, and they do a number of collaborations. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're interested in moving your organization forward, or if you're a serial entrepreneur and have multiple startups that have been successful and sometimes not successful, we hope that you would apply.
And I think we've been seeing an increasing number of applications from entrepreneurs, but also an increasing number of applications from students who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs. Right. And so we have quite a few resources in place to support them. Somebody's asking about, are the scholarships for U.S. citizens only?
Wow, that's a really good question. I don't think they are.
Nope. So we offer scholarships to U.S. citizens and non-U.S. citizens. If you are not a U.S. citizen and you can't complete a FAFSA, then we will give you another form to fill out, and we'll work with our financial aid office to determine your need. Somebody's asking if we've had any active duty military attend the program.
Yeah, actually, I'm really excited to share this information with you. We have 12 incoming veterans who have done active duty or reserves. We have mostly, if they're active duty, they are in the reserves, and that's how they're supporting.
Yeah, I believe we've had some people in active duty. It may be tricky sometimes, but hopefully with extended classroom, we'll be able to get you through. Definitely reach out to the team, and we can provide you with more information. Somebody's asking if they can enroll in more than one area of focus. Unfortunately, the answer is no, because those classes happen at the same time. So you will have to choose one area of focus. What we do is we record all of the area of focus courses and make them available to you. So if there are some, if you're in asset management, but there are some sustainable finance courses that you're really interested and passionate about, we will record them to you and make them available to you. And of course, the professor, often they love talking to people from outside of their focus areas.
I think we only have time for one more
Okay,
question.
so the last one that popped up here is, when can I apply?
Oh, right. So applications will open in August, and we'll have 3 round deadlines. So the first is going to be November 13th. The second will be January 29th, and then the third, I believe, is April 9th. And so please submit at the time that you feel your application is strongest, and we're happy to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to clarify, we won't consider your application until that deadline, but definitely reach out to us, and we're more than happy to talk to you about how we can support you in that journey. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. But if you have any additional questions, or if I didn't get to your question, please email us at emba.admissions@yale.edu, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you for spending your lunch break with us, East Coast people. If you're on the West Coast,
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, guys. Thank you very much.